Now to growing concerns about the deadly coronavirus officially hitting the U.S. Here's what we know. A Washington state resident fell ill after...
This woman apparently being taken against her will by China's newly deployed quarantine squads. A man also pulled from the apartment, forcibly taken down the stairs.
The breaking news, stay at home. That is the order tonight from 4 state governors as the coronavirus pandemic spreads. New York, California, Illinois, and Connecticut all ordering non-essential employees to stay home. Those orders cover 75 million people across the United States.
It's the same issue that randomized trials didn't find an effect of face masks in preventing respiratory infections, including COVID-19. And then governments and their advisors relied on trash studies, the observational studies, instead. And I mean, this is nonsense. And why do they do this? I don't know, but I can guess. If you mandate people to wear face masks, you, as a politician, you show that you don't sit on your hands.
There are about 1 million scientific papers in the scientific literature that were published on COVID-19 over about 4 years or less than 4 years. And the vast majority of them were of very low quality. In my own personal experience, I felt that much like all these other millions of scientists who published on COVID-19, there's about 2 million scientists who have authored or co-authored at least one paper, I should also try to contribute. It was a major crisis, very threatening for life and death issues and many, many other reverberations, as I mentioned.
So for them to question natural immunity, I think, was quite astonishing. And that led to a lot of bad policies, including mandating vaccines for people who had already had COVID, forcing young people to take the vaccine when there were older people who hadn't been vaccinated yet, who needed it. So to me, that was the biggest thing that was quite extraordinary in that Lancet memorandum.
The truth may set you free, but according to epidemiologist Martin Kulldorf, can also get you fired from Harvard University. 4 years ago this very week, the United States began shutting down due to the threat of COVID. Professor Kulldorf, professor of medicine at Harvard, favored a more targeted approach with respect to lockdowns, school closures, and eventually with the COVID vaccines. And now he is no longer an employee of Harvard.
What I witnessed personally and what I saw also in other colleagues during the COVID pandemic was very unique. The level of argumentation, the level of toxicity in the argumentation completely broke any record that I could even remotely imagine. In COVID-19, you felt like the entire population of the globe was part of the debate. To some extent, this may be justifiable because the way that we felt about it was that this is a pandemic, and everyone might be infected, everyone's life is at stake, everyone might die, or their family members might die, or their friends. Also, the measures were affecting everyone in major ways, or almost everyone. You know, some very rich people probably got away and maybe increased their fortune, but many people were completely trashed, marginalized, destroyed by what was happening. Education was completely distorted for a long period of time. Lots of children, lots of opportunities were lost. So everyone had a reason to believe that they should be part of the debate of what was going on. Then we did so many other things. We made decisions that affected thousands and tens of thousands of aspects of our lives. And each one of them has some footprint on our health, on physical health, on mental health, on societal well-being, even on democracy, even on how our societies function or malfunction. So there was a lot at stake. I think that there were many situations where censorship was triumphant. I think that there were many situations where we had manipulation of the content of what would be visible and what would be declared as the norm, what would be declared as acceptable. We had a whole army of influencers, big tech, other companies, other stakeholders who were shaping that narrative, very often in very highly conflicted ways.